Take a look at this. I knew it was going to turn out really well, and it did. Met all my expectations, and the customers are very happy also. If you remember the pictures before, and you take a look at what this is right now, what an unbelievable change in the way this kitchen actually ends up working. And I'm really, really pleased with it. Let's go through some elements that I think are just great. One, of course, all this granite that wraps the whole room, which really became the unifying factor all the way through, is just a super great detail. It gives me color, gives me texture, and it's unexpected. You just don't see this very often. You can see we capped it off in cherry, which breaks up the corners, doesn't make it all really hard looking, it just makes a nice surface. The backsplash, probably one of my favorite things in here. That's actually a piece of copper laminate that we cut and we put up inside that. And yes, I said laminate. It's a copper foil, and they come back and finish it and put it up. It's, you know, 1/16 of an inch thick. Makes a beautiful, wonderful backsplash. A little bit different. You know, we had the granite on here, so it kind of begged the question, what would we do to relieve the pattern of the granite? And the copper backsplash, I think, does a great job. It's relatively inexpensive too, so just a fun, different look. Then we applied the cabinets on top of that, and it makes a great finish. So I think that's a perfect answer for this side of the room backsplash. Let's look at this side. This side needed some pattern, needed some interest. Of course, we have our fabulous Viking cooktop. Pretty traditional pattern put on the back side, and you'll see that we use the granite again on the backsplash from the countertops, and along with the flooring put in as listettals. And then I have a trim piece that actually frames that whole thing in, which really kind of gives a nice visual display to the back of the cooktop. Also, look at how it picks up from the floor. The floor is one of my favorite things. Relatively easily done. Difficult to lay out. It wasn't an easy floor to lay out to get it exactly right. I actually started with this center spot right here. And you can see that all my tiles and my listettals all line up right here. Then they have to fall off very even on each side. We end up with about 6 inches over here, and we end up with about 6 inches on this side of the kitchen. And it balances nice. And it also gives you enough interest from front to back to carry through the room. The diagonal lines of the wood, this is actual wood that we put in here. I primarily use engineered floors for this very reason. You can't do this with 3/4 inch wood. An engineered floor actually is better, doesn't expand, doesn't contract. There's no installation issues with it. So it sets up really nicely as a strong architectural line here. I like it because from where you're looking at it right now, it draws your eye in and focuses your attention against some of the neatest parts of the kitchen. So just very different. Again, the listettals in the floor. Same thing as the granite. So you see that as a unifying factor. We used it on the walls. I used it on the countertops, and I used it as accents through the backsplash and on the floor. That becomes that wonderful unifying factor. If you look at this kitchen, there's no other color at all. Really the green, it's cream, and then of course we have the walnut floor that goes in there. But very effective and just enough and not too much. Again, you can look at how the granite pulls in. And remember our two pantries? I have a pantry here, and I have a pantry there. And the pantries became a really beautiful addition to the room to break up a whole wall of cabinetry. And you know how I love pantries. They really allow you to put a lot of merchandise, a lot of your groceries and your backup things in a closet. And what I love is that's what you get when you get organization. Everybody says to me, oh, I'm going to need more space, I'm going to need more cabinetry. Well, I say, if we get you a pantry, you're not going to. We also do lighting that turns on by itself. So when you open the door up, light comes on, you shut the door, light goes off. And one of my favorite things about the entire kitchen is this door. We have 2 of them. We make these doors. That's a design specifically for this job. Same veneers used on the cabinetry. Same color stained on the trim, and I want to point that out. Let's see where you can see it. Probably here. You see we have a cherry stain here. And you probably can't notice it, or you might be able not to notice it really well, but this little trim right here is just a little bit darker than the stain. You might say, now let's look at the refrigerator. Maybe we can tell it better there. You see that? A little darker, a little darker, a little darker right there. What that does is take up that flat aspect that you can get with a cabinet when it's all stained exactly the same color. I want it just enough to where you subconsciously see it, but you don't consciously see it. Does that make any sense? I don't know if that makes any sense. Subconsciously meaning that looks like a really nice cabinet, but no one walks in and goes, "Oh my gosh, your doors are like have a little different color stain or a stripe on it." So there had to be a very, very subtle difference between the two stains. Frankly, working with the cabinet company, that was the most difficult thing for me to get done on this job because they were doing it too dark. They thought they wanted more highlights. So I ended up taking an actual panel that they had made for me, staining it myself and sending it back to them and saying, "Look, I want it just this much." And I wouldn't do it any different. I think it's absolutely perfect. Did this not turn out to be a beautiful wall? Our Sub-Zero refrigeration, right there. We have our Wolf ovens stacked here. And of course, you guys know that I'm a fan of warming drawers. And there's the warming drawer underneath it. But as a profile in this kitchen, that's a gorgeous wall. Look at the zero clearance. All these cabinet doors, everything here, are perfectly level. Exactly the same with the wall. That's what an integrated Sub-Zero refrigerator does for you. You cannot do that with any other line. So that makes a beautiful line. Looks like cabinetry. Does not have a built-out aspect that you see an awful lot of times. Let me show you over here what this other pantry looks like. So this is the second pantry, and again, look how great this door is. And if you notice the other door, it was a little bit narrower, and this one actually is a full-size door. So we just expanded out the trim and made it right. Love it. Opaque glass in here. I just think from a design standpoint, I'm very excited about this, and we make these doors. Oh, look at the hardware. How fun! A square back escutcheon plate picks up the chrome that's in the kitchen. Beautiful little handle. So anyway, and then there you go. Great place. The toaster's not out. The coffee machine's not out. All of the things that you need for a wonderful morning breakfast sitting right here inside the pantry. Again, the light turns on. You open the door up, and really makes a great profile. Again, you see how we pick the trim up and check the soffits out. Very cool. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. She sits right here, washes dishes, puts the dishes in the dishwasher, which we clad, looks like cabinetry, don't even know it's there. Wanted a little bit of display space to break up a line of cabinets, raise the cabinets up. Everything we always do, we put a light rail, and you see we have LED lights on the back side of this. Just a nice, beautiful display area. See those LED lights that are right behind here again. And I love the glass that we put in. It's got a textured glass. So a beautiful little addition to the kitchen there. And then the sink area, which really became an interesting design aspect too. Again, stuck a cabinet back in here. It's recessed back. You see how the granite wraps the entire thing instead of it being cabinetry. So it breaks up that line of cabinetry across this wall. Of course, the granite countertop, and then one of my favorite things is this sink. So why do I like this sink? First of all, look how beautiful this is. It's got a fabulous shape. It's got a nice center divide here, but here's what's wonderful. This sink's like 10 inches deep. So you can take all those dishes and everything and stuff them in there and walk away and nobody even knows you have dirty dishes in it. Of course, we have a secondary sink for rinsing. We have garbage disposal on here. Absolutely beautiful Graf faucet with the sprayer on it. That's pretty standard. And we drop in soap dispensers in there. The kitchen, oh, forgot one of the most important things, the soffits. We drop soffits. You know, a lot of times I'll take the cabinetry up to the ceiling and I'll put a freeze board on it and I'll put a crown around the top. I wanted a little bit more of a contemporized interest in here because we kind of cleaned up this kitchen. And so if you look at this soffit and how it's built all the way around this room, and it wraps everything here and it models the top of this granite countertop, it becomes an extremely strong architectural line. Very difficult to do. This is where our CAD design, computer-aided design, comes in. And it can only really be done this way. We draw this up, we show all the soffit details, we even get it down to make sure that the lighting is exactly over the cabinetry on each side. All of that has to be designed before the guys with the construction, of course JB Matthews installed this kitchen, did a fabulous job on it. That has to be down to the detail, and this is not where we can be off. If this was off by a half inch or an inch, you'd notice that visually. All of these lights have to hit exactly in the middle. So that means when they drop the soffit, they put their 2x4s in, they have to make sure they don't put one that's going to impede the lighting after we go in later. So that soffit was extremely important to get exactly right. Also, all our dimensions out from the front of our cabinets have to be exactly the same, because if it changed by an inch or two, your eye would pick that up. So a very simple design, difficult to execute here. Now, probably a snafu on the job. There's always a few snafus, but this is definitely one. This is a mic snafu. You know, when I draw these kitchens and my mind's kind of creatively working, it's really easy to draw radius curve top here, second radius here, and a radius curve top on that. And then of course I said, well, if I'm going to do that, I want my soffit to match this exact shape below it. Well, that makes a radius curve there, radius curve there. Well, granite is relatively easy to put a radius curve in. It is not so easy to create a curved line like that with wood. So that could have been managed differently had I just clipped the corners, straightened this out, and clipped this corner. That could have been a clip corner, straighten and clip. Now, of course, after it's done, I love the fact that it's curved. I think that's wonderful, but it did create a bit of a challenge for Wind, who does that kind of woodwork for me. He loves those challenges, though, so it doesn't matter that much. But it turned out perfect. Take a look at this. Nice kitchen remodel. Something that we do relatively often. We change the profile and the floor plan of people's houses. The kitchen has more space in it. From an entertaining standpoint now, how wonderful it is for people to sit at bar stools right here while the chef is in the kitchen still cooking but interacting with everybody else in the room. I opened it up, makes it feel good. This is the way your kitchen should feel at your house. It should not be that you're back in a corner or you're back in a hallway. It should be opened up to where you're enjoying your family and your friends, at the same time cooking a fabulous meal on that wonderful Viking range over there. Kitchen remodels should be beautiful, but they should be functional first. And the function is what we do extremely well. We happen to be able to make it look really great also. It's also our ability to think about products and items out of the box. I've never done a copper backsplash like that out of the laminate. It turned out fabulous. I've never put a softener in like this and faced it in veneer. It turned out really good. But on top of it, we got functional sinks. We have, I almost forgot this, one of my favorite new things. You know, I've been out a couple years, but check out, that's the microwave. And it's a drawer microwave. This happens to be by Viking. Everyone should have this. You know, the microwaves that have always been mounted up high and they're kind of ugly. Here we have the ability to tuck it away, and it's also great because kids can use it. Think about this. Kids can take it and load it, push the button, and there you go. Your microwave shuts, and you push the buttons and heat up whatever you want. So I love drawer microwaves. Great kitchen remodel. I'm telling those M&Ms are calling my name right now. My name is Mike Rust. I'm the owner of Rust & Martin and Ashley Bailey Custom Cabinetry. This is what we do. This is just aspects. It takes Rust & Martin to be able to put all the rest of this together. It takes Ashley Bailey Custom Cabinets to be able to design and make this work. And we'd sure love to have you come down to either one of our showrooms in Cape Girardeau. One of our showrooms is in the Regents Park building on North Kings Highway. Look us up on the phone book, you'll find us. That's where Rust & Martin is. We have the most fabulous showroom I have ever worked in. It is a dream come true for me. Then we have Ashley Bailey Custom Cabinets, which is in great old downtown Cape Girardeau on Main Street. Come in and take a look at that. You'll see a fabulous working kitchen, and if you don't believe a Viking range is the best range in the world, I believe I can prove it to you if you come down and cook on it, because we have it live down there, so you can come down and cook whatever you like. Once you cook on a great gas range, and I mean Viking or Sub-Zero or Wolf, you'll never want to cook on anything else. So come down and look at both of our showrooms. Just as a side note, we've added a Paula Deen Furniture Gallery downtown in our Ashley Bailey kitchen shop. Fabulous new furniture worth taking a look at. Thanks so much for watching. I think blue is the color.